All right, we live. Different setup here, y'all. Wow, what's cracking with y'all? It's your boy Magistro Low, the Mad Thinker, aka Prince, the Hermetic Hustle God, here with my very special guest, co-host, excuse me, here with my co-host, Mr. Underground. You want to introduce yourself, bro?
What's up, y'all? I'm Mr. Underground Boxing News, aka Mr. Did I mention that? I'm more here with my guy. You already know. A lot of love for him and respect. And
Sir.
we're about to kick off a great interview.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So a name switch here, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the HGM HustleCast. Here where we interview high performers, hyper-focused individuals of all industries. In this particular case, the industry of combat. So I want to welcome a very, very special guest to the show, Harv from Harv War Bangerz Boxing Club out of Chicago. Welcome, Harv. Welcome, welcome. What's cracking with you? Introduce yourself to the people for those who don't know.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. So I'm a promoter from the South Side of Chicago. We do amateur and pro events. We specialize in getting these amateur fighters into the pro ranks. So we generally take people that don't have the opportunity to do it, and we pick them up and help them along their journey in the pro boxing game.
My God, my God. I've had personal experience with him. He's that dude. He's humble. He's that man in Chicago. He's putting on great shows. He makes excellent accommodations, treats the fighters well, houses the fighters well. Um, Before we get started, I want to make a special shout out to the LDBC, the TWT, and the whole CBC, Code Black community. That said, Harv, how did you get into boxing?
So it runs in my family. It's a family tradition. My father was a pro fighter. His father before him was a pro fighter. I was pretty much raised in the boxing gym. My father died when I was a very young kid. So when that happened, everybody in the gym became, all the trainers became just different fathers to me. So that pretty much just instilled the boxing community in me, and wherever I go, if I'm around a boxing gym, I'm around family.
I hear that. So you've boxed before, and you've had other roles besides being a promoter, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I boxed as an amateur. I joined the army, boxed a little bit in there, then retired and started coaching. My kids started fighting. So I pretty much did everything or held every position that a person could hold in the amateur boxing world. To this day, even though I promote uh, pro fighters, I'm still a staple in the amateur community. In the state of Illinois, I judge, I referee. I'm on the board of directors as the registration chair. Um, I still do a lot in the community. I never let being a promoter go to my head. So I always, I love being at the bottom. I'm from the bottom, and it's where I feel most comfortable at.
Okay, okay. So you're a boxing aficionado. You wear multiple hats. You have multiple roles. Uh, uh, Rich history, and a well enthralled person, a well indulged, heavily indulged person in the sport. Um, how does that influence your approach to the sport of boxing? Typically, it would be your style if you're a fighter or a coach, but from primarily a coach and an official's standpoint, how does that mold your approach to the sport?
Uh, Good question, man. The Well, being that I wear all those hats, I have to conduct myself at at the highest level of competency. So it's like I have to really make sure I don't make any mistakes, and I have to really double check everything I do, and I have to make sure that the service I provide is the best service that I can to my ability. So, uh, you know, boxing is my life. You know, I wake up in the morning, boxing's on my mind. Before I go to sleep, boxing's on my mind. And that's the key point. Like you have to genuinely love this sport to be in it. And if you're in it, you have to learn every aspect of it. And that's the only way you're gonna be successful.
Do you
That's
think with your
fire.
box? Do you think with your boxing experience, it give you an easier job being a promoter? Because you know a lot of promoters are not boxers.
In many ways, it gives you insight on what to expect. And I would think that to be a promoter, you have to be a real resilient type of person because so many things could go wrong. You have to be able to roll with the punches. And yes, I would say that because in many ways, you know, boxers, man, we get hit, we get knocked down, we get up before the count of 10. And promoting is the same way. It's just not physically, it's mentally. But most fights, um, the hardest part is the mental aspect. So yeah, in many ways it is definitely better to be a boxer and then go into promoting as to just be a promoter without any boxing experience.
I would say from
How
personal.
many professional cars y'all through so far?
So right now in the state of Illinois, we have three, but we work with a promoter in Indiana. We work with promoters in Wisconsin and a promoter in Philadelphia. So those shows we assist in making those shows happen. So I can't really say that those are our events, but what I can say is we play vital parts in making those events happen. So as far as the experience wise on the pro side, we've got about 6 years of doing this of promoting on the pro side. But on the amateur side, I have well over 20 years of promoting. So, you know, altogether it's roughly about 30 years of experience you're talking to, you know.
That's good. That's good. Now you mentioned Philadelphia. Who do you work with out in Philadelphia? What promotion company you work with out of Philadelphia?
King's Promotion.
Marshall. Marshall
Yeah.
Coffee. Yep. The Ring Wars. I know those guys. I got a good relationship with those guys. DJ check for me.
Oh yeah, that's my homie. That
Yeah,
is my homie right there.
that's
Yeah,
my guy.
I've done a lot of he's man, that's the coolest guy I've hands down, that's the coolest guy I met in boxing, man. I mean, you know, man, I sometimes we get on the phone and we'll just end up talking about other stuff, man. I love that dude. DJ check for me. Oh man, he's cool. He's a real good guy.
That's my guy for real. We have phone calls a lot behind closed doors and all that. And I asked him about Mr. Underground. Did I mention that? He's actually on a team comeback right now. He's hosting it. So he's like the ring announcer for Team Combat. If you're familiar with the Team Combat League.
Yeah,
Doing that.
I am.
And
Yeah, I believe he I'm sorry, go ahead. Because I believe he was telling me about it before. And I was interested in getting one of my guys into it, but it's just so much time goes into what you're talking about, like that combat league thing. So none of my guys was ready. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
But yeah, I got a lot of great relationships with guys. Now there's a few other things that I do too. Like I help promote like fights, stuff like that. I do live Instagram videos, live Instagram interviews with a bunch of fighters. I had Danny Garcia on there. I had Gary Russell. I had Shushu, Bruce Carrington.
Yeah.
I just recently had Leanna Cruz on there. I'm gonna have Jalil Hackett. I'm gonna have Zab Judah on there. I'm with this motion company called Tough Line, and I did ring walks yesterday. That was my first time. I was on BLK Prime, the Zab Judah BLK Prime. It was on there, and that was my first time. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I got my hands in a lot of stuff too. Even with the RDR, my guy fought on RDR too. I got my hands in that. DC, I got my hands in DC. So I'm kind of I'm making my way up the ramp, but I'm more so going to be on a platform like a Brian Cluster. Puster. I hope I'm saying his name right, which is with PBC. That's the guy who do all the interviews but he only do all PBC fighters, but he do other sports, like he do basketball, he do football, I think that's it, just basketball and football. But that's the angle like I'm leading for right now. But
that inspires a question on my end actually. For the layman out there, Harv, for people who are casuals to boxing but are curious, can you give them I know there are a lot of moving parts that go into being a promoter, but can you give them the what it takes to put on a show? What's mandatory to put on a show? Of course, you have to get, approval from State Athletic Commission, and you got to have a matchmaker. Can you give the people out there who are watching the roadmap to promoting a show at the very least, or at least a skeleton?
Well, okay. So generally, I'm gonna give you. Yeah, I could do that. So, I wouldn't say things are hard to do. It's because everything's really formality, and what I mean by that is just paying money for the right stuff that you need to make the show happen, which would be like insurance, fighters insurance, venue insurance. Then I'm trying to remember. There's this other thing you got to file with the state. But to give you a quick rundown on like price wise, what you're coming out of your pocket for. So generally, the accidental death insurance, that's the fight insurance, and it goes by bouts. So if you, let's say in 2024 you're trying to put on 10 bouts, you could pay anywhere from 1800 to about 2400 in insurance for 10 bouts, and that's just for that insurance. Then the venue insurance, which is the insurance that covers the liability of the venue, you can get that for roughly $400 to about $700, depending on, the size of the venue and where it's located. And aside from that, then you would have to pay the officials, and that could be anywhere from, depending on how many judges they use, it could be $2,400, maybe down to $1,800 if they're short some staff. Then, of course, you would have to rent the venue. So I think right now we're at about $10,000, just right there, right? So we still haven't factored in hotels, flights for the fighters, medicals. What I tend to do is, because I'm in Illinois, and Illinois is like one of the strictest states for medicals, so I'll fly the fighters in and take care of all their medicals so that there's no questions about it, or no reasons why about would get declined on at the weigh-in. But I would say if you're thinking about putting on a pro boxing event, I would say you would need at least $25,000 just to start, and that would just be for the basic essentials for the show to happen. I still haven't even brought up matchmakers. You still have other things that you may have to pay for the venue. If you're providing your own alcohol, you're providing your own concessions, you have to pay all that out of pocket, and it's your overhead that you really need to pay attention to. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I forgot that
they're your fighters and you're putting on the show. You gotta cover this.
Forgot all about the purse. The purse is the most important part,
There are a lot of moving parts, it seems like you have, and I know at least from riding around with you and our talks that there are a lot of things that come up spur of the moment and sporadically, and it obviously takes a lot of poise and patience aside of the money, but awareness of all of the moving parts. So I find that admirable that that's something that you could wear, because it's many hats and it's very stressful and a lot of pressure. And then also intriguing because, it just leads to 1,000 more questions. But real quick, what are, with all of the stress that comes with being a promoter and wearing such a heavy role, what are some of your dreams, goals, and expectations from the sport? Because I know there are times that are extremely tough, and it emotionally can make you feel like, wow, am I investing all of this time and all of these efforts? But what what do you hope to gain from it? What do you hope to get from it all?
Man, that's a good question. So, and the best way I can answer is that I feel like this is what God put me here to do. So nothing could take me away from what I'm doing. Um, it's like when the show gets thick, when you know everything, when I'm getting pulled in 20 different directions, you know, that's what lets me know that I'm made to do this. I got a lot of people in heaven that are rooting for me. So every time I get into a tough spot with a show, it's like I can hear them cheering me on, like, Julio, don't give up. Oh, keep playing, keep fighting, don't let them knock you down, get up. You know, so I think for anyone to be a promoter, you have to be a very special person that can handle the stress and still be able to get up and make the show happen. So, I mean, it's subjective, but you know, when you're doing it for the right reasons and you believe in what you're doing, nothing's gonna stop you from doing it. And it's sort of like you in boxing, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to get up and train every day, but if you're, you know, if it consumes you, it ain't even up to you no more. You're gonna do it without even thinking about it. It's a second nature, and that's where I'm at in the promoter world. I know that the cards, whatever I'm gonna do, you know, I'm a Puerto Rican dude. You know, cards are stacked against me. I'm the only. I'm not gonna say I'm the only Puerto Rican promoter, but there's not a lot of Puerto Rican promoters running around here in Chicago that's doing what I'm doing. So that also inspires me to work harder because not only do I have, you know, my Puerto Rican people that may not even know who I am, but when they find out there's a Puerto Rican promoter in Chicago, it may inspire them to do great things. And it's not just about Puerto Rican people; it's about all people who have experienced poverty. You know, I come from the bottom, so I do this for everyone else that comes from the bottom. Like you don't have to accept a fate that is being put on you. You can create your own fate. You know, man, listen, I come from, you know, my mom went to prison. Everybody in my family went to prison as a child, and I went to jail, and I made a couple of mistakes in my childhood, but I didn't let that define me and stop me from doing what I want to do. Every day I wake up and boxing's on my mind, promoting the next show is on my mind, and then giving these guys who come from my type of environment an opportunity to turn pro. So you know, it's in many ways I'm giving back. Sometimes I don't even. It's not about the money with me. I mean, don't get me wrong, making the money would be nice, but you know, this is in me. You know, if I got to do it for free just to help the next man up or pull one of my people up, then so be it.
Hey, I hate to dive in, right, or cut you off, but it again, it's one thing to hear people talk about being about it, but I've talked to people about you and some of the closest people to you who know you. They it ain't on you, it's in you. Pause. You feel me? Like they everyone who knows you knows that you live and love boxing and live and love for the people around you. So I've to hear it and experience it from you and then hear it and experience it from others gives me a three-dimensional experience on who you are as a person. And then to see it again in our interview is like, man, you ain't talking about it, you really living this shit. That said,
Yeah.
how did you form your team and who's involved in helping you grow and build Harv Bangerz Boxing Club and take it to the next level? And what are your visions uh, as a collective for the people who are involved, and what do you guys hope to do with it all?
So, you know, my team, you know what I'm saying? We came up from the bottom together. So, like a lot of these guys are from the military. Some of these guys I was raised with and they went to prison. And when they got out of prison, I said, man, come on, man, you going back to that life, man. You better no, you going back to the same environment. Come on over here. Let's change this up. Let's, you know, so it's, you know, a lot of it is just, man, making sure I take care of my people. You know what I mean? And I I that's what the team is to me, man. I got all my same day one, everybody from day one. I didn't, and don't get me wrong, I don't say that to say that, you know, we don't have new members coming in the club or we wouldn't accept new members. I say that to say that, you know, when you're a member of our club, it's very rarely we say club anymore because our organization is family in many ways. We win, lose, and cry together.
Mm. So what's the downside of the promotion company? Well, or the promotion that people don't see, that people don't get to see?
So what I would say, the parts that people don't get to see is the sleepless nights. It's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. Being a promoter, the people only see you at the show, and they don't base their opinions on you from seeing you at the show. But what they don't know is all the stress that's going on behind the show, all the work you put in, and man, every time I do a show, man, I'm up for 3 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I don't go to sleep till Sunday. And that's the type of work you have to put in, and people won't see it. If you're not built to be a promoter, your first show will make you or break you. And even though it was tough for me, it made me love it more. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So y'all venues, what type of venues you guys have y'all events at?
So we mostly do them at community centers, sports centers. Cicero Stadium has been a blessing to me because that stadium is in a community where it's in a community of people like me. You know what I mean? It's not a high, it's a mid-scale type of social life going on over there. It's like my type of promotion company is not for privileged people. My type of promotion company is for the people of the culture. And those are the people that I genuinely try to book. Those are the people that I try to help, and those are the people that I try to use. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I understand, definitely. So you said about fighters, you get amateur fighters and pro fighters. Now, do you guys got any fighters signed to you guys promotional company as a now professional?
Yes. So I got Will Holcomb, who is 135 pounds. He's from the south side of Chicago. He's from the Inglewood area. Then I have George Perez. He's also from the south side of Chicago. He's from a little village area. And these areas that I'm mentioning in Chicago, they get, if you see them or hear about them on the news, you're never going to hear anything good about them. But, I don't project that, man. I like, some people would just want to exploit the culture of where these people live and only focus on the bad stuff. I try not to even acknowledge the bad stuff. When I drive through Little Village, I see beautiful people, a beautiful culture. When I drive through Inglewood, I see a place full of culture and full of beautiful people. But not everybody could say that. And not everybody could drive through the same places that I drive through and get the love I get. But, I understand the city of Chicago's culture for what it is. And, man, I get love here.
Hey, it sounds like you sound the people from the bottom too. So like for the people who aspire to be